The following program contains material that viewers may find unsuitable for younger children. A parental control system is advised. The following program contains opinions of the participants and does not reflect the views and beliefs of the Derana Media Network. The network believes in a safe space for all ideas to be expressed without any censorship and on its duty to create such a platform for free speech. Viewer discretion is strictly advised.
Hello and welcome to another episode of TPS, the Public Square on Other Derana News channel, where we discuss about the most relevant and pressing conversations that shape the political landscape of Sri Lanka. And during the last episode, we were discussing about the climate condition and the futuristic aspect in terms of how the government and the opposition is working around in terms of getting our point in Sri Lanka to a better stance after Cyclone Ditwa. So today's discussion is something very relatable to the post-Cyclone Ditwa situation, and that is actually about the opposition opinion on the government disaster management. And I believe it is crucial for us to discuss as much as we discuss on the certain implementations and the objectives that the government has brought about, how the opposition is looking forward in terms of supporting, also making sure that the government is on the right track. So to discuss about this, I have two gentlemen over here. Towards my right, I have Mr. Damitha Wickremasinghe representing Sri Lanka Podu Jana Peramuna. Welcome you to today's program.
Good evening, Prashantha.
And also towards my left, I have Mr. Sumudu Kakulandala representing the United National Party. Welcome you as well.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, gentlemen. So just as much as I told about in the introduction, it is all about the post situation in terms of Cyclone Ditwa, because after the tsunami back in the years, this is far more devastating. And this has taken up to 22 districts from the 25, and that is large scale. So something in terms of disaster management is crucial with regards to the first 24 and the 48 hours as to how we really activate ourselves and make sure how everything is planned around. Now, if I can first ask from you, Mr. Wickremasinghe, now when it comes to the government situation in terms of making sure that the public is aware as to this kind of situation is arising and the proper evacuation methods, and let's say the 24 to 48 hours, how do you think that the government tackled the most crucial aspects in that particular period?
Well, Prashantha, good evening. Thanks for having me again. So let me correct you a little bit. You said the response has to be 24 to 48 hours post disaster, but in our opinion and in the experience that we underwent as a government, any disaster, the sort of organizing planning that needs to be done, it was not visible. For example, now even the BBC, for that matter, during their weather program, gave absolute clear early warning. Specifically in the BBC News itself, it mentions that there will be expected rains close to 500 millimeter. That is a history for the country. So the BBC made that prediction almost 3 to 4 days prior to the cyclone coming to our shores. So any responsible government, what it should have done was to have the disaster relief mechanism up and going. For instance, now some of our party members from Badulla, they called me and they disclosed that the government was asking people to leave their houses without setting up the disaster camps, right? So when you go and say somebody to get out of their household, where are they supposed to go? What can they do? So the main failure of this government was the pre-planning, or rather the pre-response, which should have been done. Unfortunately, due to that, I think some lives, majority of the lives that were lost could have been saved. In any natural disaster, property you cannot, save, because you can't move houses, you can't move roads. But human life, of course, if you are like very aggressively approaching to this, about to see disaster, then you can save a lot of lives. Now, one example is, had the water discharge of Kotmale done like prior in a methodical way, most of the Gampala town could have been saved. But this government, I don't know, probably due to their inexperience, especially due to their inefficiency and inability, they didn't manage to take those necessary steps. So the entire country, as you correctly said, out of the entire country, 22 districts underwent this disaster. But had the government made early response, like had the government made their early response mechanism intact, I think a lot of lives could have been saved.
Right. Just as much as Mr. Wickremasinghe also mentioned, I think it is much more important the pre, during and the post situations of a disaster. Now, do you agree with his statement, or do you have anything additionally that you want to mention in terms of how we were responsive in terms of understanding the evacuation, or else the public responding to whatever the government was bringing through in terms of the Cyclone Ditwa situation?
First of all, thank you very much for inviting United National Party to join this program. According to our view, that this is a very pathetic situation. This is a natural disaster, that's true. But as Mr. Danta is mentioned there, we can't control that kind of thing. We can't control, but at least we can get some precautions, that actions we can get to avoid this situation. That means we have to try to save our the people, the lives. Then it's too hard to protect the property, that as he mentioned. This government, the NPP government, we do not have seen that there's a proper plan. They don't have what we feel, that they don't have that much experience regarding this governing. I mean, how their work when the disaster comes, then after that, before that, as he mentioned, the warnings, alerts and everything by the meteorology department, and I have seen your channel also, that there's a Director General of that department came and said that there can be some cyclone situation in near close days. So, but knowing that, this government is not prepared to get any precautions regarding this. Another thing is, in 2020, when we are look at there's an act, Sri Lanka Disaster Management Act, which is enacted in 2005. So there, it mentioned the way how you have to act when this kind of disaster comes. Then it says very clearly in that act, it says there's a council. That council should have to work on the, I mean, if the disaster, if the warning, if alert is coming, definitely that the head of the council is the president. He is the chairman. Then the vice chairman is the prime minister. Then they have to call, they have to summon the council. And they have to get, they have to ask from the advisor, they have to get the advice from the experienced people in that field, and they have to decide what we have to do now. So, but without thinking about that, especially I am telling that they don't have that experience. Even look at the act of the country. Then to 2023, 2030, in our government, when the Mr. Honorable President Ranil Wickremasinghe governed, at that time, we have introduced the disaster management plan. But this government, NPP government, is not followed that plan, and there's no any, they didn't go to the risk assessment or considering about the early warnings and emergency, how to do the emergency responses, like that, they didn't do at that moment. Then my second thing is, what they have done in 27th of November, knowing this disaster situation, they declare the 28th as the holiday, public holiday. I don't know why they act like this without declaring the emergency situation, the state of disaster. Then the other authorities can get involved with this matter. And another thing, they didn't even ask from the other political parties, even that doesn't matter, they are in opposition. They didn't, I haven't seen that any person of this government, even the president, Honorable Anurukumar Dissanayake, didn't ask any political parties, he didn't summon any political parties to discuss about this situation. This is a national issue. We can't take this as a political one. This is a national issue, and this is affected our people in our country. So they have to do that thing. Even today, they are not doing that thing. Multi-party, or if the parliamentary committee, there's nothing they have calling to find the solutions for this situation. So I think by looking at the way that at the beginning and the now, up to now 17 days around goes after this situation happened, but still the people are suffering without any proper plan. They don't have the shelter, even they don't have the food and like that. The transportation issues are there. There's nothing to these people. Only the volunteer organization helped at the first moment. First 2-3 days, volunteer organization came very suddenly and they helped to the people, because the quality of these people of this country, they have the generosity and they are supporting to each other. So that because of that quality, that some of people are saved like that, but not because of the government thing. And another thing is, Prasansa, this NPP, no, I'm not talking about the entire government system. Actually, when we look at the disaster management system, there's the proper experienced people in this system, the district secretaries and the divisional secretaries, like that. There's a mechanism. They have the experience, but the people who are elected this time, the political people who are governed this, they don't have the experience. That is the main issue there. Then they bring the politics inside to that mechanism. Especially the party headquarters, the people, the organization called Ratutaru or someone like that. That organization involved to the helping the people. I am not telling that everyone can come and help, but by overcoming from the government structure, they take this as a political campaign. So that is the main issue, that government is failed and they are trying to again do the politics within this disaster. Ultimately, at last, the people who are the victim of this issue is the normal people, because of this inexperienced thing and taking these political things inside to this disaster.
All right. So now in that concept and the opinion that you hold, actually, at the end of the day, it's the people who suffer with regards to whatever the actions that the political parties get involved with. So I want to ask from you now, when it comes to the situation of how the government has a system now, when it comes to the Disaster Management Act number 13 of 2005, it's since 2005 that has been existing, and that is the backbone in terms of the disaster management in Sri Lanka. But then again, with even having that kind of a strong backbone, we have been a failure in terms of making sure that everyone is being supported accordingly. Because there is a criticism where we feel like the volunteers, the people themselves supported much more earlier than the government coming up and supporting. So what's your take on that aspect?
Well, Prashansa, it's like, having a Lamborghini and putting a bullock cart rider at the driving seat, right? You can have, wonderful legs and powerful, mechanisms. But if the people who are running those mechanisms are unable to discharge their duties, there is no use. And also I must, like my friend from the UNP, I must commend the generosity of the people of this country. Half of, 90% of this government's job was carried out by the people of the country. Enormous donations I have never seen. I can remember even the tsunami time. More than that, I think people chipped in and they, donated almost everything that is needed for a person to survive. But now, as we clearly know, now there is a limit to that also, where the public can, get involved. Now, currently, the president was bragging, running around the country, giving 75,000. That is also mixed messages, no? One day he says 25,000, next day tops that with 50,000, he says 75,000. But whatever distribution that we have seen up to now is only 25,000. That is also not happening in an orderly manner, right? So we must understand, the public of this country must understand the grave mistake they did in the last elections, right? They were expecting, the expectation, the raising of the bar was so high, the delivery is really mediocre. Not even, I cannot even say mediocre. This is unbelievably inefficient, inability to the maximum, right? So now for one example, now pre-disaster, normally what happens is, with the public sector, the relevant political authority, when you say political authority, it's from the government and the opposition. They get together and plan how to, face the upcoming, disaster situation. But what these NPP 159 people do, they were debating on the budget, right? They never went back to their electorates. They were debating on the budget, on the procurement of 1,700 double cabs, just to give out to the NPP MPs, as well as their party cadre who are representing all these Pradesh Sabhas and whatnot, right? As a party, our leader clearly he told in Parliament, whatever double cabs, if they are allocated to our party, all those three, we have only 3 MPs, right, will be donated to the health authorities, right? Procurement of double cabs, is that the need of the hour? When a cyclone is coming hard and fast to hit the island, right? Is that what the elected members should do? So that's the thing. And also the generosity, now the people collected various amounts of goods and they were sent to the districts that were affected. And what did the government try to do? They tried to take all those donations to their hand and distribute it to the masses via their political mechanism. That is absolutely, due to the agitation of the public only, that was changed within a couple of days. But is that a way of conducting day-to-day government business, right? This government, all I can say is full of inability and full of lies, right? Although this thing doesn't relate to our topic. Now look at former central bank governor Nimad Kabral's, he was basically acquitted from the courts, right? Set free. And what does the bribery commission do? Say, they put out a press release saying that he agreed to pay 1.8 billion as a fine. But none of that exists in the court decision. Can you stoop low to that position? What will the international community think when the Bribery Commission of Sri Lanka, right, which is the highermost authority, which has to ensure transparency and good governance within the public sector, is putting out press releases which have absolute false statements. So this is the sorry and pity state the country is facing now.
All right. So since you mentioned about the 25,000 and the 50,000 as well, Mr. Wickremasinghe, I believe now the actual situation and then the situation of this being provided by the government, do you think this matches the actual devastation and this actually works well in terms of the dividends and all?
Well, Prashant, that estimation also has to be done by the public service. No, you can't just say, I'll give you 20. They started it 10,000. Then once the president was roaming around looking at the disaster, it went up to 25,000. So yet again another day, the following day at a meeting, he says it's 75,000, right? I mean, to clean up households, I think 25,000, I mean, you are just to wash and not to remake, just to clean it up and make it livable again. I think 25,000 is a good enough sum, but that also has to come from the government official on ground. By staying in Colombo and looking into various screens with drone images, you cannot assess the ground situation, right? Now, this time, president also now. Earlier leaders of this country, whenever something bad at this magnitude happens, they were the very first to go there and observe the situation. When did our president go? He waited for about a week to go to the disaster areas and assess the situation. So this is very pathetic. I mean, I never expected now Mr. Sanayaka was portraying himself as the man of the public, man of the masses. But he was, apparently, stuck in the, defense compound, looking into, helicopter images. So, I mean, that itself, I think, is very unacceptable.
Yes, I believe that is something that majority of the general public has in terms of the perspective as well, because they were looking forward to the president himself getting into the grounds and looking into the current situation. We also wanted to mention that we invited party member from the NPP government as well, but then again, since them not attending, we do have two members from the opposition with regards to carrying out this dialogue. So let's go in for a short commercial break. This is TPS, the Public Square on Other Derana News Channel. Welcome back to TPS, the Public Square on Other Derana News Channel. We were discussing in terms of how the opposition is holding their ideas and opinions with regards to the reaction, the action that was given or taken by the government in terms of the cyclone Ditwa. So I want to ask from you, Mr. Kakulandala, now when it comes to this situation we were discussing also with Mr. Wickremasinghe, the 25,000 to 50,000 or so. Now in that condition, now do you think, let's say the government was not ready for this kind of a magnitude of a disaster. Let's keep that aside. Okay, in that context, do you feel like they had a mechanism or structure to adapt accordingly in this kind of a situation, or in this experience that you have had or the public have had in terms of Cyclone Ditwa, do you feel like they were going with an ad hoc method in terms of addressing this situation?
Well, now as you said that we do not need to discuss about what is happening earlier before this situation, but now what we have to think about how to overcome from this situation. So as the opposition parties, it is very clear that as United National Party especially, we are focusing on how to overcome. We are trying to give the opinion ideas to this government, even if they are listening to us. ideas how to overcome from these situations. So this kind of situation, after few days of this disaster, our leader, Honorable Ranil Wickremasinghe, he gathered the opposition, some members of the opposition, and he presented the proposals, suggestions, what we are suggesting this to this government to overcome this situation. Especially, we suggest that to establish a committee to consist of government and the opposition. That means the 50-50 or the percentage like that. The reason is we have to the last 2 years we have seen that we face the economic disaster, the bankruptcy situation. So now we need to overcome from that. We are in that stage. So we are in that stage, then suddenly this natural disaster came. So anyway, we have to overcome from this economical situation. We are suggesting that bring some experienced people to this committee and decide what we are going to do in next stages. I mean, some areas are affected by these landslides. Especially the railway tracks are not that much. We can't use even. I don't think that it is very closely. We can recover that areas. Especially to Kandy to Badulla track it's too hard to prepare for the earlier situations. Then about that, and then the agriculture side, what is how it affect to this our economy and this country. So to decide that, we suggest that advisory committee or something like that you have to appoint. We are suggesting to the government. Then other thing is the parliamentary select committee, when you can appoint that to get the advice and looking at this situation, how to overcome. Then we are focusing to the government that we are asking from the government actually how you are getting the money to overcome this situation. That means within this country you have to find the rupees to overcome this. Is around 6 or 7 billion damage was there. Then how we are finding that money? Then as Mr. Dante is explained that President tells that I am giving 25,000, I am giving 50,000, 75,000. He can say like that. But how the money you are going to find out the money to distribute like this? So that is one side that we are asking from the government. Another thing is lack of the connections, network with the other countries. That means the internationally they haven't that much network to this NPP government. So we can't see the United States or the United Kingdom or some European Union assistance. We can't look at that. The reason is they are also facing some issues. Then some of countries are taking their policies that they are not giving some aid, so like that, especially in the US, United States, like that. So because the situation like that, how we are going to face, we have to ask from the government. Another thing, we have to especially thanks to the India, Pakistan and China, Bangladesh. These countries are very quickly by listening to this disaster, they help us actually at that time. As a country, we have to thank to that them also. So the international connection, this government is not continuing and well managed, by what we can see in this situation. Then another thing is they are not looking at another move, how we are going to focus on the next steps in the economic side as well as the international side, how we are getting the, especially you have to go to the United Nations and asking some assistance. Now I have seen that they are trying to ask from the IMF about another 200 million like that because of this situation. The NPP government, they wanted to ask that assistance to them. Then we are suggesting how you are going to recover this situation. That is our main target. Then
I'll take it from there actually. I believe now in terms, since you mentioned about the other countries supporting as well, I want to ask from Mr. Damitha now, US did help as well in terms of bringing about their military and also a certain provision of giving supplies and also a donation, a bigger amount. But then again, we do have certain support from other regional countries, as he mentioned, Pakistan, India coming up to help. Now, it is crucial for the government to make sure that this is not some sort of a short-term support that we get from other regional powers as well, because we need continuous support, because our country needs to get out of this situation, and it might take a lot of time as well, because just as you said, the properties, it takes time, not that we can rebuild all of a sudden. So in that condition, what do you think that the government should do differently when tackling these international support system? Because it's good, positive, but then again the government plays a crucial role in terms of making sure that it is long term and not something that comes and goes all of a sudden.
Well, Prashanta, I think we must, extend our heartfelt thanks to India, China, Pakistan, as well as the UAE, which did a great job sending their recovery, management team. Most of the bodies that were recovered under the, earth, or most of those operations, the UAE team, chipped in enormously. So that also must be mentioned. Now, Prashanta, to coordinate, to seek assistance of anyone, first requirement is communication. So did we see the foreign minister, calling in the ambassadors, or the president calling in the ambassadors? I saw a prime minister doing some, good for nothing meeting. The approach or the strategy should have been for the president to call out an international donor conference, because as you very correctly mentioned at the start of the program, this is, if not the biggest disaster the country has faced. So approaching the international community, getting their support is also a way of, communicating to the world. Being arrogant, saying that we have so much trillions in our, treasury collected. I mean, that was also collected from the public of this country, So did the government do any other new project to, get revenue to the treasury, right? I saw in the news break in this program, now they are bragging about collecting another 50 billion. I mean, that 50 billion didn't come out of the thin air, So it was again taxed, and, the country, the masses, the people are going through such hardship, and the government is, celebrating, collecting another 50 billion as taxes, right? So this is supposed to be a people's friendly leftish government, but I think their agenda is very much on par to neoliberalism pro-max, I would say, right? Because now a people-friendly government can never, boast about collecting such amount of taxes. If they, did some, brought in foreign investment or increased the, remittance. Now the remittance also I saw that, they are bragging about. It's a natural correction, right? Earlier also it was close to 8 billion. It has been the, pre-COVID. It has been the number which has always been remitting. So there is no now new project that the government has done to increase the worker remittances, right? If they had done any, incremental project, they should pass 10 billion. It has come back to 8 billion. So there is no magic in it. So again, coming back to the approach, I think even now it is not late for the government to at least call upon, get India's support to address the world, and also renegotiate. Now they were, before coming to power, they were very adamant of renegotiating with the IMF. No, now this is a golden opportunity if they really want to do it, right? Because even before the disaster, the way they manage the economy and the way they manage the foreign reserves, by 2028 we are dead sure that we will not be able to pay back the loan installments. So it will be a second default, and second default will be very harsh, right? This country cannot afford that. And now they are bragging about getting this 7.1 billion worker remittances.
Yeah.
Reserves have gone up only by 0.03 billion after they took power, right? When Mr. Ranil Wickremasinghe left office, the reserves were at 6 billion, now it's 6.03 billion, right? So at that incremental rate, there is no way that we are going to get 15 billion reserves by 2028, right? So at least take this disaster as an opportunity to overcome your inefficiency, right? If you don't have any, understanding of running the day-to-day affairs, at least take this opportunity so that you can renegotiate with the world on the debt repayment and also renegotiate with the IMF, because we have a very valid reason due to this disaster.
Yes, I believe the rapid finance instrument is also something that we need support with in terms of the IMF, along with whatever we need to pay. But then again, there's a scheme specifically that is given by IMF to support as well.
Correct. That is a short-term solution, Prashansa. That will not have any effect on the debt repayment or the reconstruction, right? Very conservative estimation is 6 to 7 billion destruction, right?
Yeah. That's what. So in that context, we getting that support immediately as well, and making sure that the long-term plan with the IMF is also making sure that it's feasible for us in the current condition, because now we are in a situation where we need to recover domestically as well, to make sure that we look into the economy, look into the social aspect, whatever it is. We need to make sure that there's a balance between all that is going about, because we had a pre-condition before the cyclone Ditwa, and also now there's a post-condition which is drastically different. So there needs to be approaches that everyone needs to take differently with the current circumstances. So let's go in for a short commercial break before we get to the final recommendations or ideas that the opposition gives about to the government to consider and make sure that the country is recovering post-cyclone Ditwa. Welcome back to TPS, the public square on Other Derana News channel. We were discussing as to how the current system and also the support from the international countries, how they have given about, and also the IMF situation, because we were going in the process of repaying, and also this current condition came about. But now I want to ask, as we've come to the final segment as well, Mr. Kakulandala, now when it comes to the current situation, just as much as I've been saying throughout the program, whatever happened did happen. We can't change the time and all the situations, but the government needs to change whatever they are going to work around in the future. So understanding the current situation, because now it's almost around 2 weeks that we've gone past from the cyclone Ditwa, what do you think that the government should prioritize more, much more importantly, in this situation when we are recovering through it?
First of all, the government has to remove their political agenda. Then they have to focus to the government structure. They have to trust towards the government officials. I said that district secretaries are there, divisional secretaries are there. There's a mechanism. First of all, this NPP government has to trust trust about these officials and this mechanism, then they have to remove the political cadres, JVP cadres especially, from this mechanism. So then every people can very transparently, people can see that there's a proper mechanism is going on. Then by being down to earth, they have to discuss with the other political parties who are representing the parliament. They are also the people of this country, that there's some ideas are there with the other political parties, because this is a national issue. I told earlier, to overcome this situation, we have to get proper solutions. We have to focus on that kind of solution. By thinking about they are the people who knows everything, we can't go for a proper solutions. That sometimes it can be the inexperience is the huge issue with this government. So we are suggesting that discuss with all the political parties and go for a proper solution. Then another thing is, we are also not looking at this issue like a political issue. We can go for an election and get the power, but we are not focusing on this disaster to get the politics and political advantage in this situation. But we are supporting as the human. Why we are worried about this situation? As a United National Party, we are the one who give our full effort to overcome from the hardship of this economy. So we know that, like Mr. Danta said, that about the foreign reserves. Now it is for the date 30th of November. I think that is he's true that $6.03 billion. So now we have to go more. The 2027, we all have to face this situation. To 2027, 2028, because of the repayment. Now, we appreciate that this government, Mr. Disanayake, took over the power and he follows our steps by the IMF process. That's good. We appreciate that. We are not telling that we are the people who brought this system, you need to go another system. No, that is fine. If you are work to the betterment of this country, that's fine. Go in this IMF process. So likewise, this government have to follow this act. It is very clearly says what is the mechanism, how we are think about the other overcoming this situation. This act is very clear, and we have introduced 2013 plan. Earlier I have said that they have to follow this plan. It is very clear how to mitigate this, how to overcome this. All the steps are there to overcome this situation. So we are asking, we are requesting from this government, by please be the down to earth and then follow the mechanism proper way, get the ideas from the opposition even, and then by following these steps we can overcome. Ultimately, finally, this should benefit to the people of this country. That is our target and our vision, our expectation. This is what we have to do. So if government is not doing this, this entire country, we can't do, even we can't do the politics in this country if they are not focusing on this matter. That is what, as the United National Party, we can see this situation.
All right, so I'm going to take it very quickly in a very short and sweet response from you, Mr. Wickremasinghe, because we are running out of time as well. What is your final take home for all our viewers, and also especially the government, in terms of considering the opposition recommendations and support for recovering as a whole country, as a nation?
Well, Prashantha, for the government being unable to plan for this disaster, we must hold them account. I think I'm not a lawyer myself, but I feel that the government can be held responsible for criminal negligence, because knowing all that, I mean, you can't say that data was not available. right? If our meteorological department didn't have the data, BBC surely had. And BBC warned this situation 4-5 days prior to this cyclone coming onto land. That is one thing. And recovering from this disaster, the government must put aside their ego and accept their inability and get the support from all necessary parties that are available. Now we have 4 former presidents who are still living, right? Who have undergone many more disasters than this government. So at least Mr. Disanayaka has to be humble enough to call them and, at least listen to what they have to say. Because up to now, the planning as well as the post management looks to be another disaster itself. So what we can do is as party, we are ready to extend our fullest support. If you witness, our national organizer, the de facto party leader, Namal Rajapaksa, is now all over the country. He has started a campaign called Adare to help the school children who were affected by this disaster. So we are doing our job in our own capacity, but the government has the duty to call upon everybody who is genuinely willing to help.
I believe this is going to be a call to action for the government itself as well in terms of the recommendations and also the opinions that these gentlemen posed as well during this whole program. So I want to thank Mr. Damitha Wickremasinghe, thank you so much, and Mr. Sumudu Kakulandala. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming and representing the opposition parties and making sure this conversation goes up to the government in terms of considering the post-recovery situation from Cyclone Ditwa. Because then again, we need to make sure that this is a whole crisis situation for the entire country where you and I, we all are suffering in terms of what has happened. But then again, we need to make sure that political elements are being disregarded in this kind of a common factor because the entire nation is working around and putting themselves for recovery. So don't forget to send your feedback to our email at feedback.adncenglish@derana.lk over WhatsApp at 07680579333. We will see you again with another episode where we discuss about the most crucial and relevant conversations that impact for you and I. Till then, take care, stay safe and have a good night.
Sun shines, made it pretty far on the first try. Might have set the bar a little too high.